Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Juneteenth.
Yes, yes.
I wanted to introduce our group today. My name is Carl Lenis. I'm the president of the Friends of Maple Grove, and we are in Celebration Hall. And when this building was opened in 2009, the first African-American female president was in charge after 140 years at Maple Grove, and that was Linda Mayo Perez, and she erected this building. And I asked her why she called it Celebration Hall, and she said it's because we are here to celebrate life, even though it's a cemetery. Wow. And behind me are 117,000 people that we care for here.
Wow. And
we were opened in 1875. And one of the things that, one of the engravings in granite downstairs is a 3,000-year-old proverb that we pretty much, the Friends, have taken to heart. And that proverb says, to speak the name of the dead is to bring them back to life. Yes. And so we speak the names. And so we've done so much research with the 117,000. We're up to 25,000, so we have a lot more to go. But we found a number of wonderful, interesting people who have been lost to history, and we've been calling them out. And one of the first ones I want to tell you about is Millie Tunnell. Now, Millie Tunnell was born in 1785. And she remembers meeting George Washington a number of times in her youth. She lived to the ripe age of 111. Wow. And she was buried here at Maple Grove. She bought a plot. And we discovered that when she was buried, they had no tombstone for her. So we did our project to erect a tombstone, and we did on Juneteenth, 2,000 years ago. It took 125 years, but we put a stone over her grave. So that's Millie Tunnell. So we say, now we know the name Millie Tunnell. So we also have George Washington Johnson, who's buried here. He was the first singing super sensation in the United States, and again, born into slavery. And he was the first musician to record music with who? With Thomas Edison. They did cylinder seals. And he would sing, his famous song was the Laughing Song. And because back then in 1892, technology was so new, their voices were not recorded very well. But laughing, or his other song, the whistling song, was something that was recorded very well. Back then, the technology just allowed him to sing one recording at a time. There was no duplicating machines. So he was able to produce 50,000 cylinder seals, one at a time. But 50,000. It was reported that he sold at least 50,000. First American singing sensation in the United States. We have so many wonderful stories to tell you, but there's more stories that our guests here will be telling us. So I'm very happy to have them here. But before, I would like to, cell phones off, that was already said. But we do have other events coming up that I really would love to tell you about. Downstairs, we will have a reception after this is over. And Bill Wiggins, the photographer who has the exhibit Birds of Northern Tanzania, will be here. And that's the exhibit downstairs. On the walls presently here are the artworks of the seniors from Kew Forest High School. So we're one of the few cemeteries in the world with a concert hall, or the only cemetery in the world with a concert hall. And we have 2 art galleries, a classroom, and this building itself. We also have a Make Music concert, the Summer Solstice concert. And hopefully it'll be at the lake. Hopefully. If it rains, it's going to be inside here. And that's going to be on June 21st. We have a couple, Kathy and Michael Chimetti, and they did great concerts in the past here. They did one on Broadway Babies, and this one's called American Songbooks Concert, and that's going to be June 24. The Queen Symphony is coming, their brass quintet is coming, or brass ensemble. I don't know how many pieces they're going to have, but they'll be here on June 25th as well. And just to let you know that we got a call, we're very well known locally, nationally, and now internationally. We got a call from Italy. We have two Italian musicians that heard about us, and they play piano with 4 hands. And they'll be here on July 7th, and it's about the Divine Comedy of Dante, inspired by music. So we have a lot of things coming up, so please look at our website, and you'll see a number of flyers and information on that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Thelma.
I'd just like to know, what is your website? Could you tell us what that is?
Oh yeah, it's www.friendsofmaplegrove.org.
Okay.
And we have flyers downstairs, so you can look at it at the reception. Oh, I forgot one thing. This book here, I just got in the mail yesterday, and this is called Annie and the Juneteenth, and it's by Alita Seals. And the reason I have the book is because a few days ago, the staff called me up and they said, there's someone that you should know about who's going to be buried here on June 19th. And that's Alita. And I didn't know her book. I didn't know she had written this book. And
Yeah.
you had looked at it,
Yeah.
and what would you think?
I love the book, the illustrations, the stories. She took the facts from history and made it so readable and engaging that you want to learn more about what it really was like during that time and the celebration of freedom. She did an excellent job.
And she's being buried here?
She's being buried on June 19th.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
She'll be in this section over there. So things happen for a reason.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And she's a Queens woman also.
Yeah, that's right. She is a resident of Queens.
Yes, Cambria Heights.
Right. Exactly.
My name is Thelma Ruffin Thomas, just to let you know. I'm a storytelling woman going fast, not slow, so you better pay attention to this rap of mine. If you can't keep up, you'll be left behind. I am the president of the African Folk Heritage Circle, which was started over 20 years ago by our beloved ancestor, Dr. Joyce Duncan, who passed away 3 years ago. And she started the African Folk Heritage Circle, which is a chapter of the National Association of Black Storytellers. And we have been meeting in Harlem at the Sisters Uptown Bookstore the first Tuesday of every month. And we are continuing to have storytellers and artists to come and share their gifts at Sisters Uptown Bookstore, and in honor of Dr. Joyce. And we know that Queens and Brooklyn people travel all over the world. You ask a person in Manhattan to go across the street, they can't find them. But we are asking you to think about coming out to Sisters Uptown Bookstore, and we'll give you more information about that. And we have some flyers that tell you more about what we have done and our mission statement. But I am not going to keep you from hearing our two wonderful, wonderful artists, Lynette Braxton and Atiba Wilson. Keep them up. And they will share their Juneteenth program with you right now.
Thank you, Thelma. But don't go away too far. I'm going to need your help.
Okay.
Well, as you know, for those of you who do not know, anytime that we start our program, we always recognize and honor the elders, the ancestors. And just as you said, when I was walking downstairs, I saw that, I went, oh, that's what we do. Say their names. Say their names and they will never be forgotten. Just recently, I lost one of my sisters to breast cancer. And just before she passed, she said, don't forget me. And I was like, I would never forget you. So I often say her name because she is a part of the ancestors. And the life that she led, the life that she lived, it lives in me and everyone else that she's met. So it's important that we remember our ancestors and say their names. So, where's Thelma and creeped off to? Get back over here. Oh, wait, okay, no, stay where you are, stay where you are. Who would like to come and be a part of this celebration of honoring the ancestors? I would just like for you to hold the plant, and as you hold the plant, I'm going to pour a little water on it, and it will be at that time that you can call out your loved one's name, or anyone that you know that has affected your life for the better and the positive. And after we do that, you can say amen for their life, or you can say ashe, or you can say whatever your heart feels like sharing in celebration to those people who have gone on before us. Who would like to come and be a part of our libation celebration? Come. Let's give her a great big round of applause. I understand that anytime you're doing public speaking or anything in public, people think that that's worse than death. So for her to come here and to be a part of our celebration, thank you so very much. And we will need you to participate too. So if there's anyone that you love, that you know that has touched your heart, touched your life, say their name.
Can we say that out loud?
Yes, you have to say it out loud so that we can all agree with you and their lives can be lived again through the vibrations, through the frequencies of your voice.
As many as I want.
As many as you want, and as much water as we got. Okay. And we don't have to take turns. You could all say it at one time, however it feels. Just let them live through you. Okay, so here we go. Wait, we have a Yoruba sister in here. Come up here, sister.
Yeah.
Come help me, sister. Come.
But I don't know her.
That's good. You talked to me earlier. Now I know you. Come on now. Yeah. So I was going to give you like the ecumenical blessings, which I will be doing, but I'm going to let her lead with the Yoruba part.
I haven't done this for a while.
Okay, come on. We're all in this together. And loud enough for us all to be able to say Ashe.
Chandra Singh.
Louder.
Randine Singh. Lynn Gray.
Ashe. Ashe. When we see her pour a little water, we say Ashe. Say your name. Say their names.
Uncle Charles Taylor.
Ashe. Over here, anyone? Anyone from this table? Ashe. You ran out of water already? Oh, okay.
Harry Belafonte.
Ashe.
Taylor.
Ashe. Bobby and James Landry, my parents. Ashe. Anyone else?
Paul and Jenny.
Ashe.
Costa.
Thank you. Ashe. And
Rosemary Hartman and Thomas Hartman.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you for sharing. Is that
Gloria and Bobby Slavin.
we would pretend we're doing the work?
Ashe.
Ashe. We are remembering their names and we Ashe. We thank you, O Heavenly Father, for this opportunity to bring us all here today. A day that we have never seen before in the history of our lives, but you have always known. You know our beginning from our end. We thank you for all of those people that you have placed in our hearts and our lives to bring your joy, to bring your light into our lives. Help us to continue to remember who they are by allowing us to say their names. We give you all glory and praise because you are the one who has created all things, including us. Ashe. Thank you. Let's give our wonderful participants a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It is so important that we remember our ancestors, that we remember the traditions, that we remember freedom, faith, who we are. And that's what this celebration is about, Juneteenth. Now, as you know, Juneteenth is a combination of the 19th and June. So they put it together, and it's called Juneteenth. When I was growing up in Louisiana, I'm a Louisiana baby, and I am proud to be a Louisiana baby. I come from the best state in all of these unions, and y'all don't have to agree with me if you don't want to, but I say that I'm from the best state in the union. And my mother was the best storyteller that ever was. My mama was so cool, y'all. She was cool before cool even knew how to be cool. And she taught me who I was, that I'm cool too. Now, mama, every evening before she would get us ready for bed, she would call us by her bed, and she would sit in her chair. And her chair was a big, comfortable chair. And I come from a family of 10 children, and I was the oldest, and I could run fast. So every time mama would say, okay, children, come on in, it's time for a story time. Baby, I'm gonna tell y'all, but don't tell nobody else. I would be running and pushing my sisters and brothers out the way, because I say, don't be telling everybody. Because I wanted to be the one that sat next to mama, because when mama would open up those books, looked like those books just came to life. I wanted to be there. I didn't care about my little sisters and brothers. They had their turn next time. Mama told us about the stories that came out of the Bible. Mama told us the stories that her mother told her, and her mother's mothers told her. And she would always start it off in the way that her mother would tell the stories. But I kind of let you guys be myself, but I'm going to tell you how she started off the story time. Come and sit upon my knee, my dear. Come and sit upon my knee and listen to my stories. Now we all 10 children sitting around mama listening to the way her mama used to say it. But now that I'm grown up, I say it my way. Come and sit upon my knee, my dear, and I will tell you a tale or three. Thereupon a knee, I heard the stories. Now I hope that you will enjoy the stories that I tell. Now, mama told them so well, and I hope I do them as well as she did. Mama said, long time ago, when her great-granddaddy was a slave, way back on a plantation in Galveston, Texas, he never thought that he would see the day of freedom. And he told her the story that she passed down to me and my sisters and brothers. I got the chance to meet my great-granddaddy when I was a little girl. Now, he must have been close to 100. Now, remember, Carl said that this man was over 100-something years old?
Millitown was 111.
111. That sounds like my great-granddaddy. And that's the truth. I actually met him. Now, when he would stand up, to me, he looked like he was about 10 feet tall. He was black like the midnight sky. And his shoulders was broad. And when he walked, he knew who he was. His name was King Goodwill. Now, my mama told me, now you are the granddaughter, the great-granddaughter of a king, King Goodwill. And you are the granddaughter of Charles Goodwill. And you are my daughter of Bobby Jean. So you have a lot to remember. You have to know who you are, to know where you're going. My great-granddaddy would walk and he would look at people and look like he could see right through you. His eyes would tell you the stories of where he had been when he was just a little boy. I remember one Sunday when we went after church, and we would always visit our grandparents after church. And we went there, and this was one day that he felt so talkative that he shared one of those stories that he kept locked behind his eyes. My great-granddaddy told us that when he was a little boy, over there on that plantation in Galveston, there was this old lady that his slave master had purchased from New Orleans. She was a wise woman. She seemed to be able to know things before they even happened. She knew who she was. Master didn't fool around with Miss Annie because Miss Annie was a wise woman. Now, Miss Annie was kind of old, and so Master knew that Miss Annie would be better in helping out the little children that was on that plantation, including my great-granddaddy. Miss Annie would sit on her porch and look at all the little children as they was playing around in the square. Miss Annie would give them words of wisdom, telling them, baby, you got to know who you are, and freedom coming one day. I'm telling you, freedom coming. My great-granddaddy said that they didn't know nothing about no freedom because he was born right there on that plantation. His daddy was born on that plantation, and the daddy before that came all the way from Africa. They didn't know, but they knew deep in their heart that that was something they wanted. Freedom. Freedom not to have to get up so early in the morning before the sun even rises. Freedom to be able to sit down and eat real food. Not pieces of pork back and not pieces of leftover whatever master had on his table. Great-granddaddy said, Miss Annie would tell them, freedom coming. I feel it, y'all. I feel it in my bones. Great-granddaddy would always say, I never thought I'd see the day. And then he would say whatever it is that he thought he'd never see the day of. He would say, I never thought I'd see the day when we would be using electricity instead of using candles and kerosene. I never thought I'd see the day when we would stop riding horses and driving in a car. I never thought that we would be watching TV instead of listening to the radio. I never thought I'd see the day of freedom till freedom comes. Cheering, gather around, let me tell you, you got to know who you are. There's power in your words. There's power in knowing who you are, whose you are, and who you are. You got to know, babies. Great-granddaddy said, on this day, it was a hot day over there in Galveston. The sun was just shining bright, no clouds nowhere. As soon as you walked outside, he said, it felt like laser beams of sunshine just beating down on you. But it didn't matter because they had to get out there on those wagons. His daddy, his granddaddy, and everybody in the slave quarter had to get it except Miss Annie and the rest of those old ladies. They stayed in the slave quarters doing the washing and the cooking while everybody else went out there to the cotton field. Great-granddaddy said it was that hot day and they was out there and they had these long sacks, cotton sacks. They call them cotton picking sacks. And these cotton picking sacks would hold at least 150 pounds of cotton. Do you know how much cotton you gotta pick to get 150 pounds? 150 pounds. And even the little boys, the little girls, even somebody as small as you had to be out there picking cotton. Cotton ain't easy, y'all. When you start picking that cotton, they got thorns around the head of that cotton ball. And when your hands go in there to grab that cotton, those thorns cut your fingers up. It didn't matter. You had to pick that cotton. Great-granddaddy said they had picked so much cotton that day, they went over the amount that they were supposed to pick. The only time that they ate And they ate, like I said, those leftover food, whatever the master wanted to leave for them. They ate that for the morning. And then sometimes they would able to come back at noontime and have a little something else before they had to go back out in the field and work. Well, on that day, when they all came back, and Miss Annie and those old ladies, they had a feast set out for them. They had watermelon. They had red velvet cake. They had strawberry soda water. And you wonder where they get soda water from back in the 1800s. I'm glad you asked. Well, great-granddaddy said they would take that strawberry, they mash it up with some sugar, and they let it sit a little bit, and they put some stuff up in there to let it start to ferment. So it get all bubbly and happy, and they put it in the bottles, and then they would hide the bottles, and they only used to drink this during the holidays. So when they saw the pork chops that they stole out of the smokehouse, from Master's smokehouse, when they saw the chickens that they stole out of the Master's hen house, when they saw the cornbread, they're like, what happened? Well, Miss Annie got all this food for us. It's not Christmas. Well, Miss Annie said, come on, babies. It's time for freedom. Come on, babies. It's time for freedom. And everybody was like, Miss Annie, we ain't got no freedom. We got to go back out in the cotton field. She said, I feel it in my bones, children. Y'all eat up. It's time to celebrate. Well, they ate the food, and even though they didn't understand what Miss Annie was talking about, they ate that food, and they enjoyed that food, and they went back out to that field. When they finished gathering up all that cotton, they piled it up on those wagons, and they started off to Galveston, to the exchange part in Galveston. When they got there, my great-granddaddy and his daddy and the slave masters and all the overseers and all the other slaves, when they got there to the shipping channel to go to the cotton exchange, there were all these Union soldiers. Great-granddaddy said he had never seen so many black soldiers in his life. And some of the children got scared because they had guns. And they was black, and they never seen nothing like that before. And they were like, well, what's happening? What's happening? Well, the soldiers told them that no cotton exchange was going to be had here today. Y'all got to go over there on Broadway Street where the Ashton Villa is. So everybody turned their wagons around, great-granddaddy said, and they went over to that big old plantation-looking house. It had 2 stories. There, standing on the 2nd floor, was this man in a uniform. His name was, I forgot his name. What's his name? Granger. You can listen to my story. Thank you very much. Gordon Granger. I think I would have asked my granddaddy that too. What's the name? Gordon Granger. Gordon Granger had this important piece of paper, and it reads like this. The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection thereof too existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. Great-granddaddy said they didn't even waste time to hear all the rest that General Gordon Granger was saying. He said it was like a hush went over the crowd. And they were like, what did he say? Did I hear him right? He said we free? We free? I never thought in all my life that freedom would come in my life right now. I hear somebody telling me I'm free, but what we gonna do after we free? I don't know what we gonna do I don't know, but we getting out of here. They loaded up the wagons because master couldn't go and exchange that cotton. Nobody could do no business that day. They went back to the plantation, and Miss Annie and all them ladies that was sitting there just smiling. You didn't have to tell them what happened because Miss Annie knew. Great-granddaddy said, I never thought I'd see the day of freedom until I saw freedom. And that day, y'all, was June 19th, 1865. And that's why we are here today, to celebrate the freedom that all of these enslaved people went through. And to imagine, for almost 2.5 years, they were working on these plantations and they didn't even know they were free. President Abraham Lincoln had signed this thing called the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. But because the slave masters wanted to make that cash crop, which was the cotton, they didn't tell the slaves that they were free. But you know, when it's time for truth, nothing can stop it. And truth came that day, and that's why we celebrate Juneteenth. But I also want to say, y'all, Mama told me that it's good to celebrate things and go with traditions, but you gotta know why you do what you do. Now, as we stand here today, it's a glorious day because today is June 17th, 2023. This is the second anniversary of the National Federal celebration of Juneteenth, which was signed on June 17th, 2021. So you guys are a part of history for the second one. But as we go on with our tradition of learning more about freedom, and not only just freedom for the slaves, but freedom for ourselves. Know why you do what you do. My mama said, like I said, she was cool. And she was the best cook that I ever known. And I learned how to cook from my mama. So if I ever cook anything for y'all, y'all gonna be saying the same thing. Yeah, baby, that food was good. Cause I put that Louisiana stank in it, yeah. We got a seasoning called Slap Your Mama. Yeah, for real. You know about to slap your mama?
I saw it online.
Yeah, you see, I ain't lying. That's right. So when I cook my food, I try to cook my food like my mama taught me. So with my great-granddaddy and my grandfather and my grandmother, all good cooks, but they couldn't outcook my mama. My mama was cooking this roast. And it was a big, now that's when I used to eat pork. I don't eat pork no more. I done learned, y'all. That's what happens when you grow older and you learn. So you change things that you used to do. But at the time that I'm telling this story, I really like my pork. So Mama would have this great big old pork. And the way that her mama taught her, like her mama's mama taught her, like that little song that she was singing before it was time to tell the stories, Mama would take that roast. And she would take this great big, almost like a machete. It was big old knife. And she would take this knife and she would jab it in that roast. And she would turn it around real good. And then she would take that knife and jab it in there and turn it around real good. Then she would take her seasoning, something like Slap Your Mama. They had some salt in it, some pepper in it. I can't tell y'all the rest of that secret recipe. But she would take all of that and she'd take some onions and some garlic and some bell pepper. And that's what we call the Trinity in Louisiana. So she would anoint that roast and pat it up real good with all them seasonings. Then after she'd take that great big old roast, she would whack off the ends and throw it away. That's what I did. What? But because my mama did it, that's what I did. I had a family, and that's how I cook my food. Take the roast, take that big old knife, and what do you think I did with it? I jammed it. That's what.
y'all looking at me cooking my food. And so I would take that roast again and jab it. And then I would stuff it with the Trinity and the salt and the pepper and the secret ingredients I can't tell y'all. And so I see you licking your lips over there. No, can't do it. So I would whack off the ends too, and my children say, Mama, you know that food be so good. Can you tell us why it be so good like that? I said, girl, you know, I don't know. I just do what my mama do. That's how my mama do. But my mama always said the food tastes so good because she put so much love in it. So I say, that's what I do. I just put love in it. They said, but love is one thing, but you throw it halfway to food. You threw halfway to meat. Why you threw it? I said, you know, I don't know. But just like my mama had us going to visit our grandparents every Sunday, I had my children go and visit my grandparents every Sunday. So one Sunday, my great-grandmother was in there taking that roast, and what was she doing? Jabbing it in there and filling it all with those secret spices and the Trinity, which is the onion, the garlic, and the bell pepper. And she would jab it again and pat it up real good. Then she would whack off the ends and throw it away. This was my grand opportunity to ask, because you know a lot of times children were taught, children will be seen and not heard. Y'all must have the same mamas. Oh yeah. So y'all don't hear that, right? Not to be seen and not heard. Y'all talk a lot. Y'all talk a lot. Whoa, I wish I was in y'all house. Oh, I couldn't talk a lot. I mean, I talk a lot, but I wasn't supposed to talk a lot. Oh my gosh. So anyway, back to the story. So when I saw my great-grandmother doing that, I said, Momo, you know what? I've been wondering, and my children wondering, why is it that when you take that roast and fix it up real good and put all those spices and all that stuff, and you whack it up and you throw off all that? She said, because it's love. I said, well, that's what I told my children, but they said, no, that's wasting food. No, what else? Why? Because we need to understand why we do what we do. My great-grandmama said, child, ain't no secret to why. I threw off the ends, whacked off the ends, because I never could find a pot big enough to put the whole thing in. Tradition. Know why you do what you do. And as we start this new tradition of celebrating Juneteenth, learn as much as you can about freedom, about your freedom, about our ancestors' freedom. Because when we do, we set a foundation for our future to know about their freedom. And that's my story about Juneteenth. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me introduce y'all. Atiba Wilson. Fantastic. Musician and storyteller.
This is a sanza. And everyone say, sanza.
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 The sanza is the oldest piano in the world. It is known throughout all of Africa by many different names. In Zambia they call it kalimba. In Ghana they use the word wanga. In Mozambique, imbera. But in Zimbabwe, there they use the word which we have shared with you today. Sansa.
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 One morning I woke and I began to play my Sansa. And as I play, I begin to walk. And I walk and walk and walk until I came to a village. But in this village, they had never seen a Sansa before. I told them, my Sansa is quite good for playing music. And I let them play my Sansa. They played and played and played until they became curious. They wanted to know how my Sansa was made. And so, they broke my Sansa.
Oh no.
I asked them, why did you break my Sansa? And they said, it is because we have never seen one before. In return for my Sansa, they gave me a rug, a thick and beautiful rug. And so I take the rug and begin to walk and walk and walk until I came to another village where all the people sat on the ground. They had no chairs. I told them, my rug is much better for sitting. And so they sat on my rug until they became curious. And they began to dance. They danced and danced and danced until they tore my rug apart. I asked them, why did you tear my rug apart? And they said, it is because we have never seen one before. In return for my rug, they gave me a cow. And so I take the cow and begin to walk and walk and walk until I came to another village. Can you believe? In this village there, the people had never seen a cow before. I told them, the milk from the cow is quite good. And so they began to milk the cow and 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 milk the cow until they became curious. They wanted to know, how did the cow taste? And so they ate my cow.
Oh no.
I asked them, why did you eat my cow?
Oh.
And they said, it is because we have never seen one before. In return for my cow, they gave me a spear. And so I take the spear and begin to
And walk and walk and walk and walk and walk.
until I came to another
Village.
This village was a village of hunters, but they hunted with their hands and with clubs. I told them, my spear is much better for hunting. And so they took my spear and were able to capture more food than ever before. But you know what happened? Soon they became
Curious.
They wanted to know how my spear was made, and so they broke my spear.
Oh, no.
I asked them,
Why did you break my spear?
and they told me,
Never seen it before.
oh, you learned very quickly. In return for my spear, they gave me a pot, a large and beautifully decorated pot. And so I take the pot and begin to
Walk and walk and walk and walk.
until I came to another
Village.
This village was near a stream, but there the people had never seen a pot before. I told them the pot is quite good for holding water, and now they were able to drink and save more water than ever before. But you know what happened? Soon they too became
Curious.
They wanted to know how my pot was made, and so they and I asked them,
Why did you break my pot?
and they told me,
I've never seen one before.
have you heard that story before? Anyway,
No.
in return for my pot, they gave me.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you heard the story before. No,
They never seen it.
they don't give me nothing. They introduced me to the most beautiful woman in the world, and I fell in love immediately. And I asked her to marry me, and she agreed. And we were married. And now, together, my wife and I, we begin to
Walk and walk and walk.
until we came to another
Village.
This village had seen a woman before. But never had they seen a woman as beautiful as my wife. And so they decided to give us a party. We ate and danced and danced and ate and ate and danced and danced and ate. Soon it was time to sleep. Soon it was time to rise. But when I rose, my wife, she was not there. Oh, my beautiful wife. Why can't she be? My wife who was introduced to me by those who broke my heart. My pot, which is given to me by those who broke my spear. My spear, which is given to me by those who ate my cow, which is given to me by those who tore my rug, which is given to me by those who broke my sansa, yes. And now, my wife, my beautiful wife, where can she be? Just then, the villagers returned. With them is my wife. They have made her a beautiful dress. They say a beautiful woman must have a beautiful dress. And I am happy. Ah, yes. I am so happy. I jump. When I jump, I walk. When I walk, I jump. When I jump, I walk. When I walk, I jump. When I jump, I walk. And that was where I began. And so, I picked up my sons and began to play. And as I play, I begin to think. And I think that often we go through life as I have just gone through the night. From one dream to another dream, to another dream, to another dream, to another dream. Dream your dream. Dream your dream. Dream your life. Live your dream. This is where yesterday meets tomorrow. Here inspiration is found. What you simply hear as a rumble is in fact primordial sound. It is here that sound became rhythm. Rhythm became measure of time. At that point, awareness grew of what we now know as mind. Mind is what thought attained power. With power, thought conceived words. We then learn how to listen for the meaning in all that we heard. Feel the intensity of spirit. This is where our story began. It is at this location that wisdom allows nature to speak to man. This is the place our ancestors sing. If you listen, you may get a chance to hear an enchanting melody, or perhaps even see them dance. They sing songs of freedom, justice, tranquility too. The songs they sing of perseverance are what we now call the blues. They dance the dance of lessons learned through joy and pain conditions, instructing that all we think and do be guided by tradition. They drum the drums of reason so that we may choose the best from out of our proud heritage and leave behind the rest. They drum the drums of reason so that we may choose the best from out of our proud heritage and leave behind the rest. They drum the drums, they drum the drums, they drum the drums, they drum the drums, they We are sons of the sun, daughters of the moon. Oceans and rivers reflect us. The wind is our voice, the breeze our whisper. Silence, even silence respects us. It is we who decided the day is divided into us, now understood as the hour. We built the Sphinx and pyramids as links to great ancestral power. We created mountains, the canyon's abyss, the falcon, our symbol of light. Soars above iron clouds, where even darkness is bright. We charted the movements of planets and stars, employed them as yearly planners, labeled beast, mighty, and small, studied their every manner. We are the elephants' flare, the lion's roar, that fills the forest with wonder. We are the cascading sound of the Great Lake Falls, known as a house of thunder. Count the sand of Sahara, the drops of the Nile, the savannas every blade of grass. Only then will you see the greatness achieved by those of Africa's past. Count the sand of Sahara, the drops of the Nile, the savannas each and every blade of grass. Then will you see the greatness achieved by those of Africa's past. We are Finland, Funan, Hausa, Igbo, Wolof, Serene, Ga, Yamasuri, Mandinka, Ashanti, Ghana, Yoruba, Maasai, Twa. We are Finland, Funan, Hausa, Igbo, Wolof, Serene, Ga, Yamasuri, Mandinka, Ashanti, Ghana, Yoruba, Maasai, Twa. Nunca Africano, nunca Africano. Todos negros en el mundo son africanos. Todos negros en el mundo son africanos. We are Africans. We are
And I would like to end our program if Thelma would come back up and have us to all make that affirmation too. Who are you? Remember when we started the storytelling, I was telling you my mother told me who I am. I am the daughter. I am the great-granddaughter of King Goodwill. I am the daughter, the granddaughter of Charles Goodwill. I am the daughter of Bobby Jean Goodwill. I am me, and they all live in me. So I want you, as you did earlier today, in honoring the ancestors, to all stand up and proclaim who you are. I am, and state who you are. In honor of this day of freedom, Juneteenth that we celebrate. On the count of three, just shout it out. I am, and then tell the world. 1, 2, 3. I am. Okay, we're gonna try that again. Let me help y'all. Somebody slaves. But for the Confederate States, yes, it was over. But those folks in those other places were not free. So learn more about our American history, because it's all a part of who I am, who you have decided who you are. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for celebrating the second annual Juneteenth national holiday. Can you celebrate
Before you go, I would like to give out these flyers. Lynette had read from here, and so I have them to give out to you. And is it on? Yeah, it's on. And also the African Folk Heritage Circle mission statement, so that you will know who we are. And as you will see, sometimes you may know that, oh, I remember them. They came to Maple Grove and told us some stories. And as I said before, we are in Harlem on 156th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. We will be, African Folk Heritage will be going up to Yonkers. My granddaughter has a coffee shop up there, and so we will be there Monday. And we will be doing Juneteenth programs. So if you know of someone who lives up in Yonkers, just let them know that the Bougie coffee shop on Main Street is going to be having a program at 6 o'clock. And thank you. I thank you so much for coming out on this beautiful afternoon. You could have been someplace else, but you came here.
Yes.
And thank you again. Thank you, Akiva and Lynette. Let's give them another. And where's Carl? Just step down. Okay, because we have, yeah.
So I have brought some books, and if you guys would like to just look at them and take the name of them, so if you want to learn more about freedom and where it all came from.
I'll go one brief statement. In terms of the poem, we have to start the understanding that the struggle for abolition began on the other side of the water. When Africa was invaded, because no slaves were brought from Africa. Africa was invaded, we suffered military defeats, and Africans were kidnapped massively and enslaved. Mm-hmm. But there were, the word slave is not you won't find it in any African lexicon. Mm-hmm. We were prisoners of war.
Yes.
We were prisoners of war. And we continue to fight each and every inch on the way to the edge, the western coast of Africa. During the shipment on those boats, we fought many ships. In fact, that's where the insurance industry got started, because they had to provide a certain amount of economic security because we were fighting back so furiously. And as soon as we hit this side of what is now known as the Atlantic Ocean, we fought. And it is very important that we understand that Juneteenth is self-celebration day. Without the presence of some 200,000 Africans in the Union Army, the North would have lost the war and we'd all be singing Dixie today. So it's really important that we understand and know when we study our history, make sure that we get it, that the reason the Emancipation Proclamation was written and put out there, because they needed to enlist Africans in the the Union Army. Because from 1792 up until that point in 1863, Africans were not allowed in the army. Because they knew that if we had those arms, we would be fighting for our own liberty, which we were doing. Yes. The Seminole Nation was not one ethnic group. It was a federation. Gullah Geechee, Africans, all right, Muskegee, Creek, Cherokee, Chickasaw. They were a variety of ethnic groups. Seminole means runaway. So indigenous people and Africans were running away from enslavement and injustice and started a new nation called the Seminoles in Florida and the southern part of Georgia and Alabama. And we fought from 1792 to 1835. We fought. Nobody gave us that.
Yes.
We fought. And it's important that we understand that. Because to this day, that's one of the most well-kept secrets that's done in American history.
Yes.
The degree to which Africans fought for our own liberation.
Yes.
And that's why it's important when you talked about Galveston to talk about those soldiers in Union uniforms were Africans.
Yeah.
And in April 11, 1864, Arkansas was rejoined to the Union because of Africans in Union uniforms.
Nice.
So they celebrate self-emancipation Day on April 11th. All right? Because in April 11, 1864, that's when Arkansas, when the Emancipation Proclamation was enforced. Because although the Emancipation Proclamation was put out there on January 1st, it didn't mean nothing until it was able to be enforced. And it's because of the presence and
And the 13th
Grant and Sherman and all the rest of them talked about how important it was to have Ethiopian allies. That's what they called, at that point they called us Ethiopians. All right, when we were free, they called us Ethiopians. They said these Ethiopian allies enabled us to turn this tide. And it is very important that we understand that. So when we celebrate Juneteenth, as you said, it's important for us to know what we're celebrating.
Yeah.
We're celebrating self-emancipation.
Yeah.
And America will never be self-emancipated until we know all of our history.
Absolutely.
All of our history.
Absolutely.
All of our history.
Thank you. Okay, he's back.
So we have a reception downstairs, and we also have the photographer from Bill Wiggins, who has the birds of North Tanzania downstairs to meet you. So please come down and we'll enjoy.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you.
Thank you all.